little heavy, but I was putting together a more improved version of my med kit that I use to repair blasters and stuff like that when I'm out at wars, and I constantly found myself lacking something, and I think I finally put together a kit that will do basically anything I will ever want to do, including just mod an entire freaking blaster out on the field, wherever I may be. And so I decided I might want to do a video on something like this, because I know I'm not the only person that's been in a war and was like, I really wish I had, I don't know, a Dremel, or a soldering iron, or glue, or anything like that. So I bought myself a very cheap little toolbox. I got this at Goodwill for a grand total of $6. It's rather nice. Nice and durable, should be good. And then inside of it, we open up these, and of course there's a lock right there, which I'll get a lock eventually for it, I guess. I open it up, and there's a tray. Now these are things I find myself constantly needing in a war, such as more epoxy putty. Now this won't really fix everything, but at least if something breaks I can try to fix it, and it does cure like nearly completely in like 2 hours. It's actually sandable within like 30 minutes, so that's not bad. DevCon plastic holder, this will fix pretty much anything that breaks, and I don't have to worry about that, but if I don't want to mix a 2-part epoxy, I've just got Gorilla Glue Super Glue Gel right here. This is one of the best super glues I have used. I like it the most because it doesn't dry out instantly like every single other thing of super glue I've ever used ever, so that's nice to have. A variety of sandpapers. This is the 3M kind of a resin or epoxy flexible sandpaper. It's the best. It's what I use for everything, and I have pretty much 3 different grits here and a bunch of different sheets of it. Fits perfectly in there just like that. I do have a sanding sponge in here, which is also very good for sanding. Not exactly super good for fixing things on the field, but hey, if I wanted to mod while I'm on a camping trip or something, this kit will let me do it. It will let me do basically anywhere, anything, anywhere, and you'll see that in just a moment. I've got things here like a little tiny clamp, a variety of little freaking Allen keys and stuff like that, toothpicks for mixing epoxy, I've got some heat shrink tubing, I've got a file, variety of cutting apparatus such as this thing and an X-Acto knife and a Sharpie for marking, some little wire tester things right here, which you can shove in the end of a LiPo and then clamp to something like motor terminals to see if a motor is dead. Very useful to have. And then, of course, my box of random screws and springs. This is very useful for, if anything, like a catch spring is broken or I need more screws for something, I can just shove them in here, and there's all types of screws in there from a variety of generations and companies of blasters. We've got electrical tape, scissors, one of the most important things, glue sticks, you'll see why in a moment, some little tiny tweezers, which are useful, and then, of course, my Gunpla snippers are my old ones. I upgraded to a new set, so these are the old ones I had, and they're just, you know, flash cutters that work really good for cutting things up. Little tiny pieces of plastic if I need to shape something. But of course, if I remove this, we get to the actual meat of the entire package. And that is the tools. So the first thing I'll probably show off, which is freaking unnecessarily cool, this is a hot glue gun. But it's a hot glue gun that's powered by a 3S LiPo. Didn't think you wanted that before? Now you do. It runs off any 3S LiPo. Do not leave your LiPo plugged into this, by the way. I did that and I killed the LiPo because it doesn't have any kind of automatic shut-off or warning or anything like that. But it works really freaking well. It heats up in like a minute or two, and it's a hot glue gun that you could use anywhere. It is a little bit awkward because when you plug a LiPo into it, there's no like holder for a LiPo or anything like that. It just, you know, plug it in and then it turns on and heats up and it works. So there's a LiPo in here for that as well, but this is one of the biggest necessities right here because hot glue will fix just about anything, including even like a really chintzy way of fixing wires. Hot glue will do that. Not recommended, but it will do it. But of course, that's not the only thing. We've got a little tiny hand screwdriver slash drill thing here. This is just to quickly take apart blasters. It doesn't get every single kind of blaster done, but it gets most of them, and there's a screwdriver for that if I need to get something else. Dremel bits, because we have an actual cordless Dremel here. This is the Dremel 8220. It is a lithium-powered Dremel tool that has a variable speed up to 30,000 RPM, and it has active braking, which is something I really like. It just shuts off immediately. I do have the flex shaft attachment on it because it's usually hanging above my desk, but even then it's just like, this is way smaller to get into little areas with than this thing. So that works out really well. This will cost you about I think it's normally around 70, 80 bucks. I bought it a couple of months ago, sometime during the summer, because every single time I go to a mod party or something like that, there's usually only one Dremel, or if there's a Dremel, there's no outlet. I got kind of tired of it, so I just got a cordless one. The battery life is pretty darn good. It will run for like something like an hour and a half, 2 hours non-stop off a single charge, and it charges in like an hour. It might even be worse than that. I don't know. I have to charge the thing like once every month. So yeah, no, it's awesome. I absolutely adore this thing, and I can highly recommend if you're looking to get into a Dremel. I don't really like the Dremel brand all that much because I've actually lost 2 Dremels now. This is my third one. I've had this one for again a couple of months now. If it dies, I will be very, very upset, because I'm tired of losing these things. Now, what might this be? This is one of the coolest things I have in my entire little collection here. This is a Dremel soldering iron, a butane soldering iron, and it is absolutely glorious. This is one of the best things I have bought so far. I used to use a Weller soldering iron for pretty much everything, and then when that kind of died, I went out and bought another one because I thought it was good. I hated it. I absolutely hated it, and I didn't realize how much I hated it until I got this thing, because this thing works frickin' perfectly. It is, of course, butane powered. You fill it up at the bottom right here, and this little container right here is aluminum, with everything else pretty much being plastic and aluminum on it. And it has variable flame height, it has a lock here, it's got a safety lever, and of course the business end, which heats up because there's a flame in here and then all this heats up. And there's a variety of attachments for it, like if you want to take out the thing and just have an exposed flame, well, you can enlarge that flame. Well, let's spread it out over a bigger area, I should say. Then this is something that you can put on it. This is what curves hot air, because there's a hot air attachment here if you just want to, again, blow hot air. There's even a freaking blade. You can have a heat knife with this thing. And this works extremely well. And on top of that, there's this little shaper tool right here that will also cut into plastic, but also smooth it out. So if you don't want to use a Dremel, or your battery on your Dremel is dead, or some other frickin' excuse, you have this thing that works flawlessly, and I love it that it's got a little bit of wrenches right here, which you can use to unscrew heads on it. Then a little dish right here for wiping off any solder, a little container right here where you can put some stuff in, and of course another one right there. And then a cap, which goes on the end of this thing, which is of course melt resistant, and it works, again, really, really good. I'll turn that up. Usually it doesn't fire up the first time, so I just click it twice, just like that. I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, that thing's in. And the best part is, this will be ready to solder in under 30 seconds. And then if you want it to stay on, you just lock it. And then when you're done, you just put it in here. And that's it. This thing is very, very versatile. It's got anywhere from a 45-minute to a 70-minute runtime on this thing. I have not had to fill it up yet, and I've already wired a blaster with it. So there's a lot to love, and it comes in this nice little container, and it cost me a grand total of $35. My last plug-in Weller soldering iron cost me $26, $27. So, yeah, that's one of the best things I've ever bought. And then, last but not least, in here, I've got a variety of little attachments. Things like pliers, well, zip ties, you gotta have zip ties, extra blades for the Xectre knife, another set of Allen keys, some of that grip tape stuff that Clowny sent me, I threw that in here. Little screwdriver set that I can also use for fixing my glasses. A freaking pipe clamp thing. Another Sharpie. This is the cutting jig I use to cut out, you know, Stephen-sized darts, and there's a blade down here for doing that. And this is something that's been with me at every war, and all I've done is expand upon its glory. This was sent to me by a fan, this little tiny Transformers lunchbox, and my god, it has been with me to every war since I got it, because it's mandatory. I have to have it, and now I have an even bigger box to put all my stuff in. I am very, very happy with how this turned out. This will essentially let me mod a blaster anywhere. The only thing I would want is probably something like, I don't know, a bandsaw, which obviously I don't have, so oh well, but what I do have works, so it's really hard to complain. It all fits right back in here. No problem whatsoever. So now, if anything breaks at any war, I can fix it. I don't even need to have to worry about something breaking. If I want to just mod a blaster, let's say I don't feel like playing, but I brought a blaster I can work on. Maybe I need some putty work. Maybe I need to sand something. Maybe I need to fix wiring. Oh, well, I just became the coolest person at the war, because every war I've been to so far, nobody has had A, a Dremel, and B, a soldering iron, and definitely did not have a hot glue gun. And really, those are the only 3 tools I needed, but why not take it a step further and get absolutely everything I could possibly need? Let me know if there's anything you feel that should be added to this box that I don't have. I think I pretty much got everything, but you never know, I might miss something, so I'd love to hear your feedback on something like that, because as far as I know, I can mod pretty much anything, anywhere, at any time, and that makes me very, very happy. I'm Walcom S7, thank you very much for watching this video. If you want to buy any of these products and help the channel out, there is a link down in the description box below where you can pick up the things. Again, I bought all these with my own money, it's not like they were sent to me by a company or anything like that, but if you want to pick them up because I think they're pretty cool and you're looking for something like that, there will be links in the description where if you buy it from there, you'll help the channel at no additional cost to you whatsoever. So, yeah, thank you very much for watching this video, and of course I hope to see you in an entirely different one. And I think this one was kind of different, so why the heck not?